The tales of the bent-neck lady were whispered among the townsfolk for as long as I could remember. Every child in the neighborhood had heard the legend, whispered in hushed tones during sleepovers or around campfires. The older kids would use it as a dare to scare the younger ones. I was no exception. But as time passed, most of us brushed it off as a mere urban legend, a ghost story to spook the gullible. How wrong we were. I was always a night owl. My best ideas came to me under the shroud of darkness, so I would often take midnight strolls around town. It was a way to clear my mind. Old Elm Street was my usual route. Despite the tales, it was lined with ancient trees that rustled softly in the night breeze, creating a serene ambience that I cherished. One evening, as I wandered aimlessly under the moonlight, I heard a faint voice, melodic yet chilling, calling out names. Samuel, Eleanor, Thomas. The voice seemed to echo from nowhere and everywhere at once. I froze in my tracks, heart pounding, the tales of the bent-neck lady flooding back. Before the town had paved roads and streetlights, it was said that a beautiful lady named Olivia lived here. Envied for her beauty and grace, rumors spread that she had bewitched the men of the town. In a fit of jealousy and fear, the woman accused her of witchcraft. Without a fair trial, Olivia was dragged through the streets by her ankles and hung from the largest tree of Old Elm Street. Her final cries for justice echoed through the night as her neck snapped under the weight of her body. Now, it said, she wanders the very streets she once graced, her neck grotesquely bent, seeking revenge on those who wronged her. If you hear her call your name and answer, she appears before you, her face shadowed by her long dark hair, and pulls you by your ankles to that wretched tree, seeking to share her cruel fate with others. Shaking the thoughts from my head, I convinced myself that it was just the wind playing tricks on me. I continued my walk, picking up my pace, but the voice grew louder, more persistent. Michael? Lydia? Daniel? The name seemed endless. A cold gust of wind blew, and I pulled my jacket tighter around me, and then, to my horror, I heard my name. Jason! Jason! The voice was no longer distant. It was close, right behind me. Panic surged through me. I wanted to run, to escape the haunting call. But curiosity, that treacherous emotion, held me in place. I turned around. There, under the dim light of the street lamp, stood a woman. Her long, flowing dress seemed untouched by time, her face hidden behind cascading locks of hair. But it was her neck, bent at an impossible angle, that sent shivers down my spine. Our eyes met, and I saw the pain, the anger, and the thirst for vengeance. With a swift movement, she reached out, her cold fingers wrapping around my ankles. I tried to scream, but no sound came out. She dragged me relentlessly towards the ancient tree, its bark as cold and rough as her touch. Suddenly, a brilliant light blinded me. Headlights. A car was approaching. She released her grip, and I scrambled away, gasping for breath. The car slowed down, its windows rolled down, and a familiar face looked out. It was my neighbor, Miss Henderson. Jason, what are you doing out here at this hour? Are you okay? She asked, concern evident in her eyes. I nodded, too shaken to speak. She offered to drive me home, and I gratefully accepted. As we drove away, I couldn't help but glance back. The bent-neck lady was gone, but her presence still lingered. Once home, I couldn't shake the feeling of being watched. Every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of the curtains made me jump. The events of the night replayed in my mind over and over. Days turned into weeks, and the terror of that night began to fade. But the legend of the bent-neck lady was no longer a mere story to me. It was a grim reality, a reminder of the darkness that lurked in the shadows. One evening, as I sat by the fireplace, a knock echoed through my home. Opening the door, I found a small, ancient-looking book on my doorstep, its pages yellowed with age. Curiosity piqued. I began to read. It spoke of rituals, of ancient energies, and ways to harness them. The bent-neck lady, it said, was not just a vengeful spirit. She was a powerful source, a being of immense energy, forever bound to the place of her demise, forever seeking justice. The book hinted at a way to heal her, to release her from her torment, but the last pages were torn, leaving the ritual incomplete. As nights turned colder, her presence grew stronger. I would hear her calls, her whispers, always searching, always seeking. I became obsessed with finding the missing pages, desperate to free both her and myself from this nightmare. But as I delved deeper into the mystery, I realized the truth was far more terrifying than I could have ever imagined. The bent neck lady wasn't just seeking revenge. She was a beacon, drawing others to her, feeding off their energy, their fear. And now, as I sit here, writing my account, I hear her call once more. The ritual remains incomplete, the solution out of reach. She is eternal, her power unyielding, and tonight, she calls for me again. So dear reader, heed my warning. If you ever find yourself on Old Elm Street and hear your name being called, do not answer, for the bent neck lady is always watching, always waiting, and once she has you in your grasp, there's no escape. Thank you for listening to Have You Ever Heard of the Bent Neck Lady? If you enjoyed this story, please leave a like, and if you enjoy hearing stories from me, please subscribe and become a resident of Hill Street, and let me know how I'm doing in the comments. And I hope all of you have a fantastic night.